You know, when it comes to countries whose music is truly underappreciated, in my opinion, no country has it worse than Australia. All across the decades, they've always been ahead of the curve in terms of sound and what's up and coming, so let me turn you on to some of my all-time favorite Australian music that doesn't come from AC/DC. The first song I want to talk about comes from a group called The Fun Things and their song, Savage. This is a rather hard 7-inch to find from 1980, but it is well worth it. As in my opinion, it's the most perfect encapsulation of punk rock ever recorded. The guitars rip across the track, and there's this amazing tension within the rhythm section that is tough to top. Along with that, the lyrics are dead on about what a live band needs to do on stage. I can't recommend this track highly enough. Listen to it right now. Next up is, of course, the Easybeats doing Friday on My Mind. This is a classic coming from all the way back in 1966, but the fact of the matter is almost no other song has had the longevity that this one does. The guitar riff is easily one of the most recognizable in history, and yes, it is being played by George Young, who happens to be the older brother of Malcolm and Angus Young from AC/DC. Rarely has a song been able to withstand the decades in terms of impact and importance as much as this one does, but when it comes down to it, we all love Fridays for a reason. The last track I want to look at is a very important one, and it comes from The Victims, and it's called I'm Flipped Out Over You. This one is from 1977, and when it comes to musical explosions that were overlooked, none are bigger than what Australia did for the punk rock sound. Bands from the land down under were years ahead of the punk rock scene that exploded in the UK and America, and few bands show it better than The Victims. This track was actually the B-side to their song Television Attic, but the energy here is far better. You can hear early rumblings of the sound that Joan Jett would go after as a solo artist, and few bands have delivered controlled fury as well as these guys have. Jumping over to albums, let's look at the Saints record, I'm Stranded. While a lot of people like to argue whether it was the Ramones or the Sex Pistols that really spearheaded the modern punk rock movement, the fact is, it was neither of them. The Saints can make a much better argument as they were putting out that same sound months before either of the others. The grit and the grind you find all across this record are second to none, and there's always a fantastic lyric to go along with every single song. As much as it pains me to say it, the fact of the matter is, on many levels, this record from the Saints leaves the Ramones' debut in the dust, and they are clearly light years ahead of the Sex Pistols. The fact is, this is as essential an album as you'll find anywhere. You have to own it. Finally, whenever you're speaking of Australian music, you must talk about Nick Cave. Whether it's his work with The Birthday Party, Grinder Man, or with the Bad Seeds, he is one of a kind and the absolute king of his sound. So we're gonna take a look at one of the more recent Bad Seeds records, Dig Lazarus Dig. I wanted to talk about this record in particular as it really marks the resurgence of Nick's move back to the heavier, louder, somewhat darker sound. While the early Bad Seeds records are absolutely flawless, there's a tone and an attitude running throughout Dig Lazarus Dig that he's rarely achieved. Also, the illusions and wordplay that makes Nick such an amazing artist is all over this record. And this album serves as a great starting point to those who might not be familiar with him, as well as a refreshing return to form for longtime fans. So those are my recommendations for this week. Be sure to check back here every Sunday for more music suggestions, and be here every day for all the music news, reviews, and knowledge you'll ever need.